Yeah, so we get started. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vridavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusantathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulla Ravinda Yatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vastita Datkatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidhu Sura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. So welcome everyone to our next edition of 6th chapter. So far, what have we discussed? Well, we have discussed basically the topic of meditation, right? And in here, we actually divided this chapter so far up to shloka number, I would say 32, into literally four parts. So first, we started with what are the general disciplines, general things that we need to keep in mind when we want to get into what I would call as successful meditation. We all know meditation, but what is successful meditation? So that part of it, we talked about it. The next thing we jumped right after that was going to more specifics of meditation. Those were some practical suggestions which was given with regard to food, with regard to the posture, with regard to so many different things. Those 6 things, if you remember, at some point we'll probably do a review also. But those are the second thing we did, specific disciplines. And then we talked about the actual process of meditation. How do you really meditate? What are the factors that need to be kept in with regard to the process itself? And finally, in the last 4 shlokas that we discussed, up to shloka number 32, we discussed about actually the benefits of meditation. So in Sanskrit terms, these are called as, the general discipline is called as Bahiranga. Bahiranga means the external, Bahiranga sadhana, we call this. So Bahiranga meditation. Then the next one was the antaranga. Antaranga meaning from an internal point of view, what I need to do with regard to as a sadhana. Then the third one, the process of meditation itself, we can call that as dhyana swarupam or dhyana aspect. Then the last one was the benefit, or we call this as phalam. What are the benefits? What do I get out of it? I can do all this, but show me what it means. What is in it for me? That part of it. So these are the 4 things we have covered so far. So today we are coming to an extremely, extremely practical problem that we all face. So you can see how Bhagavad Gita is so well structured. There is no such thing as do this and you will succeed. It doesn't go straight by that way. It addresses a student like all of us who, wait a minute, all this sounds really, really good, but, this but comes in, right? So that's the but that Arjuna is going to really will elaborate actually a lot more on that, because that is the crux of the problem. Everything sounds great, but if I don't address some practical things, then that part we'll talk today. So here, that's why I love this beautiful quote of Swami Chinmayananda's, which, if you're in the Facebook page of Swami Chinmayananda, this showed up on my page or maybe a couple of days ago, and I thought that's the right thing, which is ultimately, we talked about in this beginning of my narrative here about what are we trying to achieve in this meditation? What is successful meditation? So that absolute successful is where I can quieten and still even the last trace of thought disturbances in my mind. So ultimately, the mind is the culprit, and I have to have control over that. Even a slight amount of disturbance in my mind, only then can I really say I'm successful in meditation. So that is why to quieten and still even the last traces of thought disturbances in the mind is the accomplishment of that higher state of meditation. So I want you to ponder upon that, which is what is, we all know what disturbs a mind. But ultimately, if I can have that control or even that fine, tiny bubble of a thought, then that is where I can say that I've conquered myself. So today, I don't know if Meena is free to talk about her reflection, because she sent me a beautiful reflective passage on what she wrote on shloka number 30, I believe, right? Meena?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it today?
Yeah, we can do that.
Please.
So the reflection time that I took is on shloka 30, which says, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tashyaham na pranashyami chashame na pranashyati. So what it says, what I thought about is, for those who see me everywhere and see all things in me, I'm never lost, nor they are ever lost to me. To lose God means let the mind wander away from him, and to be with him means to unite the mind with him. The easy way to unite the mind with God is to learn to see that everything in his connection with him. For example, let's say someone hurts me. If we see the Supreme Lord seated in that person, we think God is testing me through this person, and he wants me to increase the virtue of tolerance. And that's the reason why he is inspiring this person to behave badly with me. But I will not permit this incident disturb me. Thinking this way, we will be able to prevent the mind from becoming a victim of negative sentiment. Similarly, mind separates God when it gets attached to a friend or relative. If we train the mind to see God in that person, each time when our mind wanders, we think that Lord Krishna is seated in that person, and thus I'm feeling this attraction. In this manner, the mind will continue to retain its devotional absorption in the Supreme. So I just thought, I felt something like that, and I just thought I wanted to share with you. But it takes more time to get to this maturity, but slowly, eventually we have to, because we started learning Bhagavad Gita, so we have to, for sure, at one point of time.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Meena.
Thank you so much.
You just wrote this immediately after we finished that section on 30-31, right?
Yes, but last week I was not able to because I was traveling. So
true.
I just thought I'll share with you today. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. I love the way you explained about how ultimately mind is the one that I can focus to in a devotion bhava to that Lord, but it is that same mind that separates me from loving people, or mind is the obstruction from that point.
Ultimately, mind is the control point. I mean, if we control our mind, then everything will go the way it should be.
Exactly.
So we have to practice. So that's the reason why you keep insisting, do some meditation and all that, as per what Lord Krishna says. So
yes,
we should do it.
Yes, exactly. Ultimately, we may listen. We may listen to many lectures, and of course, these days there is so much that we can listen to on YouTube by way of just Shravanam. But if I'm not taking a little bit of time to reflect upon this, which is what you did, and that's what this section for us is, it's a reflection on a shloka. And after reflection, to be able to take that into my meditation seat and focus upon what this message is, the third step, which gets into that meditation. That is not Nididhyasanam, by the way. Nididhyasanam is actually that highest state of meditation where I'm completely convinced about Jiva Jagat Ishvara. That is the aspect. Once I'm convinced about it and get into Nididhyasanam, that allows me to get to the highest states. But this reflection is absolutely necessary. And why doesn't it happen for a lot of us is because material pursuits, right? Material pursuits takes away that time from us. We make material pursuits as a priority. And when we do that, there's always some excuse or the other why I'm not able to spend time on Bhagavad Gita, why I'm not able to meditate, all those things. But if I make meditation as my primary priority, only then can all the listening that I've done and the reflection that I've done can take me to that next state of meditation. So very, very nicely presented. Thank you. Thank you, Meena.
Thank you very much.
So moving right along, we will again today chant the 10 shlokas and move on to shloka number 33. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Shashtodhyayaha Yatro Paramate Chittam Niruddham Yoga Sevaya Yatra Chaivatmanatmanam Pashyannatmani Tushyati Sukhamatyantikam Yattad Buddhi Grahyamatīndriyam Veti Yatra Nachaivayam Sthitaschalati Tatvataha Yam Labdhva Chaparam Labham Manyate Nadhikam Tataha Yasmin Sthito Na Dukkhena Gurunamapi Vichalyate Tam Vidya Dukkha Sanyogam Viyogam Yoga Sangitam Sanishchayena Yoktavyaha Yogo Nirvinna Chetasa Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman Tyaktva Sarvana Sheshataha Manasaivendriya Gramam Viniyamya Samantataha Shanai Shanai Ruparamid Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Samstam Mana Kritva Nakinchidapi Chintayet Yato Yato Nischarati Manaschanchalam Astiram Tatastato Niyam Yaitat Atman Yeva Vasham Nayet prashantamanasam hyenam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutamakalmasham yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. I don't know why, I think I somehow, I didn't paste my 30 and 31, so I'll just chant the 30, 31 from the book. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati sarvabhutastitam yo mam bhajatyekatvam sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. And then the last one in this series, which is Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. So with this, we had completed this beautiful section, which we call this as the benefit of meditation. And what was that? And that is, basically, here we have this shloka where it says, Atma upamyena sarvatra. So the yogi looks at everything, the whole world, as basically herself or himself everywhere. So through this likeness of the self, like he says, through this, he sees what? He actually sees samam pashyati yaha Arjuna. He sees everything with an equal vision. And you see this, you see this concept coming through so many times, Previously, we had this one shloka where we saw that he is that yogi who can look at whether it is an animal, whether it is a beggar, whether it is a pandit, he looks similar, right? He has an equal vision. And you see the same thing being echoed here, samam pashyati yaha Arjuna. He sees with equanimity. And then not only that, he also, with regard to, in and through people, whether they hurt him or whether they, whether they make him feel good, sukham va yadi va dukkam, be it in pleasure, be it in pain. Also, he sees everything as totally equal. So what does that mean? It basically shows the, we talked about last time, it shows the expansion. So this yogi has expanded himself to such a way that he sees himself in all bodies. Previously, he was identified with just one body. Now he's identified with all bodies. It's just like, for example, I think our Swamis give this example beautifully. When I bite my tongue, I don't hit the teeth saying that, what did you do? Did you, you can't be biting your tongue like this, or, the tongue doesn't get upset with the teeth or anything, right? Every part of the body is the same. So too, this person looks at everybody as nothing but himself. He just identifies equally with all of them. And that is what this do unto others as you would have them do. It's sort of a universal value which we have heard this, is that why would you hurt somebody when you would never do that to yourself, right? If I do not want to be hurt, then I don't want to hurt anybody. So that is the part of it. So that is the aspect of seeing that equal vision or equanimity everywhere. So he says, then further, sukham va yadi va dukkham. So whether it is, whether I have to get something very good for myself, only then I'm happy. So why should I not wish that others also get something good? Just like I want something, there are a lot of other people who also want the same thing. So you see how very quickly aspects of jealousy becomes a non-factor here. I'm very happy when somebody has gotten something. Again, this is a lesson for, our own youngsters, right? I mean, I am so happy about everyone. There is absolutely no jealousy at all. And so too, the same thing with, if anybody feels sad about something, I identify myself with that person's sorrow and I feel the pain what the other person is going through. So too this, so that feeling of that identification now extends beyond just my own body to about everyone. So this is really what love is all about, isn't it? So when people might say that, in Hinduism, we don't really talk about love. Of course, we talk in the Bhakti Marga, we talk about, the love of the gopis for Krishna. We all do that. But when it comes to, say, Advaita Vedanta or, the pure Vedantic concepts, many people would say it is so dry, there is no compassion, there is no love. But not really. This shloka totally embodies that aspect of it. It is a concept of universal love that is being talked about here. So, and there is absolutely no, and sometimes, people would also say that, in Vedanta, you only care about yourself. You care only about your liberation. And isn't that a very selfish kind of a concept? No, that is not true at all. It is actually totally the other way. It is, we call ourselves, or we say that we have liberated ourselves, or we are going towards moksha, is when I dilute myself. There is no aham bhava. There is actually all the way through where I'm expanding myself. So that is the ultimate, really the goal for what Bhagavad Gita is trying to teach. What Bhagavad Gita is giving us that self-knowledge, which allows me to relate to everyone. And it is sort of, I am, and when we say I'm withdrawing myself, actually, I'm withdrawing myself for the sake of actually expanding myself. I need to go within myself in meditation and understand who I am so that I can better relate to others. I can better identify with others. I don't want to just belong to myself, but I want to be part of the entire Jagat. That is the ultimate thing which this shloka and the entire Bhagavad Gita is trying to talk about. So this beautiful shloka here, I'm still trying to find out where exactly I got it from and but it says so beautifully, I belong to the whole creation and every living being belongs to me. This expansion, this universal love is actually finally the result of this whole knowledge, jnana nishta. Jnana nishta means firm abidance in that knowledge. Aham nija paro veti ganana Laguchetasam, Udara Charitam tu Vasudeva Kutumbakam, Mata tu Parvati Devi, Pita Devo Maheshwara, Bandhava Shiva Bhaktascha, Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam. We say this often, but what does it mean? It basically means that I belong to the whole creation. So that is why our Shastras says, do not identify with anyone. Do not identify with just anyone, but identify yourself with everyone. But the problem with all of us is that we tend to look at only myself, my family, and from this, the minute I start identifying myself and with my own family, that becomes a kind of a boundary which then binds me and doesn't prevent me to look further on. But the shloka, again goes back to really says that the ultimate yogi is the one who sees actually no difference between himself or herself and everybody else. And by doing so, our own negative values of envy, jealousy, greed, anger, everything can just go away just like that. So somebody wanted to say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anand.
The second one, Mata to Parvati Devi, Pita Deva Maheshwara. This is from Annapurna Ashtakam.
Right. Okay.
It starts with Nityananda Kari.
Right.
At the end of it says, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But isn't that Icha that is also in Lalita Sahasranama?
No, this is from Annapurna.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
So ultimately, that's where we want to get to. So, like I said, the summary so far, then we talked about up to the shloka 32 is all this, the general discipline, specific, dhyana, and then finally the meditation, the meditation benefits itself. So finally, if we have to summarize, we talked about all this so much, but what is the ultimate benefit of meditation? Any thoughts on this?
It becomes
yeah.
one with universe. That the thought becomes more strengthened.
Yeah.
So, and then also get the samadrishti.
Correct.
Yeah.
And relieve stress.
Relieve stress, yes. So ultimately, the stress is because I have identified myself, right? With myself. It's such a stress reliever. Absolutely. You know?
Yeah, and calming mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it really is an, we, again, not to, this is just a simple joke I was trying to say, when we go to the gym, we try to do a full body workout, right? It's not just for the arms and the legs and everything, we do a full body workout. So this aspect, what we're talking about here is it's a transformation of our entire core personality. That's what it gets to. Everything else is in pieces, piecemeal things, but ultimately this meditation really leads us to this transformation. And not only that, like we talked about before, it gives us, gives us attitudinal change, attitude changes. I call this as attitudinal changes, a change in our attitude. Now, again, change in our attitude, not necessarily just the fact that from now on, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be an honest person. I'm going to love everyone. It's not just that. It's actually much more powerful than that. All this time, I looked at how, I blame the world. I blame the world for disturbing my peace, right? But now I totally understand my role and how I'm connected to the whole world. So now the project for me is not that the world is disturbing me, but it's really to understand myself. What is it that I am, what are my own likes and what are my own dislikes? So is it because of my own likes and dislikes that the world is disturbing me? So I try to get rid of that aspect of my own likes and dislikes. And ultimately, I see that because of this, then my own goals and priorities now change. Ultimately, it is not about what can I get from the world, what is it that I can give to the world. So that's how my goals now change, and my own priorities also change in life, So that is, I feel, the ultimate goal of this meditation here. So now, moving on to, sorry, 1 second, my phone is. So ultimately, we are coming to the next set of shlokas, which is why I said that, it's a very important question that Krishna is trying to ask you. Now, I'm sorry, Arjuna was trying to ask Krishna, right? So he was listening really attentively, right, so far to Krishna. And towards the end, Arjuna says, but Krishna, I have this question. How do you think that it is possible for us to maintain this equanimity? So here I just wanted to describe this 4 different things from Mandukya Upanishad, which Gaudapada, has beautifully given as what are the 4 obstacles for meditation. He says, Manaso Nigraha Yatam Abhayam Sarvam. One second, I have to. Manaso Nigraha Yatam Abhayam Sarvam Yoginam Dukkha Kashaya Prabodhascha Abhayakshaya Shantir Evacha. Now, in Mandukya Karika, which is the in Mandukya, you have the first part, which is all about the actual Upanishad itself. But beyond that, Gaudapada has written the Karika for it. And in this is a shloka where he talks about essentially that ultimately there are 4 obstacles to meditation. And actually, we'll come to that a little more when we discuss shloka number 33. But he talks about basically 4 different obstacles. One of them is Dukkha Kashaya. So there's 4 of them, which is actually, he'll come to it later, which we'll get to it also. He talks about Laya, which is sleep, basically sleeping, the sleepy nature. Then he talks about Vikshepa, which is a very overactive mind. And then he talks about Rasavada, Rasaswada, which is the relaxation that happens because of meditation and because of which I want to continuously keep on doing meditation. And then finally, the third one is Kashaya, the kind of impurities which are there in the mind. So we will come to that later, but let's move on to shloka number 33 here. So in shloka 33, I think we chanted last time, but I will just chant that one more time here. Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pranashyami Chanchalatvat Stitim Stiram. Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pranashyami Chanchalatvat Stitim Stiram. So you see this question that Arjuna raises here. He says, Ayam yoga tvaya proktaha. That which is taught by thee. What is that? It is the yoga of equanimity, which is samyena. Samyena, the samadrishti, as beautifully Anand pointed out, the samyena, the equanimity, which you have taught so far, I do not see it. Etasya aham na pashyami. I'm not able to see that. Why? Why is that? Why am I not able to see this equanimity? There are times in our life where I am pretty okay with looking at the world with an equal vision, right? But it doesn't happen continuously. Most of the time, actually, we don't see the world with equal vision, right? Why is that? So then Arjuna, of course, you can see the maturity in him. He's already now coming to a point where he recognizes truly, what is a mind and how this mind plays this big part. And that is the restlessness. So this is the aspect where he's trying to show that the restlessness of the mind is ultimately the reason for what I think is why I'm not able to see this. And this is, so this is why I wanted to bring this 4 things here. The 4 things, typical obstacles for us, is this laya, which is the sleepiness in our mind. Sleepiness, not from a point of view of, that I fall asleep because of just tiredness. It's actually, it can be because of also what we say, this is a dullness of the mind. Our mind gets into the state of dullness primarily because of ignorance, right? When I don't know something, then my mind is like, it just shuts off. It just doesn't want to really focus on what meditation is all about. So this is something which can start from all, the sleepiness of the mind itself, from the physical thing where when my mind shuts off, automatically my body also wants to now go to sleep, right? So that is the one aspect, laya. The second one is this, which probably we can really relate to, vikshepa, because the minute I sit for meditation, my mind is in 100 different directions. It's because, we engage our mind in so many different ways. And I guess life was a lot more simpler before, where we didn't have our phones with its 100 WhatsApp groups, all these things. None of this would disturb us. But today our mind is, so this probably I would look at among all four, probably the biggest problem we have, which is vikshepa, overactive mind. A mind can go to really go to Mars and come back to that extent, right? And then kashaya, which is this inactivity, which is actually inactivity in the sense of, like I said, it is just totally still. I mean, it is stilled into a state where it doesn't want to think about anything. Just to give you an example, how this kashaya works is, like, for example, when my mind, like suddenly when it is, it faces something which I've never faced before, like tsunami. If I've never faced something like tsunami and suddenly I see some huge wave coming in front of me, I can be totally kind of stunted into not thinking at all, right? It just totally stills itself. So that it is that kind of an inactivity where, one second, sorry, it's that kind of thing which he talks about as another major obstacle for meditation itself. And the last one, which is rasavadaha, is the aspect where when I get into even a little bit of meditation, what happens is my mind becomes sort of calm, right? So there's a certain amount of peace that I get out of it, and I just want to be in that kind of a state. Now, what Gaudapada is saying, that also is not that ultimate peace. So I have to go even beyond that. So that is why these four things he talks about are reasons why meditation doesn't happen. But for us, which Arjuna is really talking about, is this vikshepa, which is this overactive mind. And that is why the solution is ultimately, not solution, actually, the biggest obstacle for us is this wandering mind, right? So that is what Arjuna really wants to know. And that is why in the next shloka, he further talks about this fickleness of the mind, or this problem that we face, as to how difficult it is to deal with this. So, he says, Chanchalam himana Krishna, Chanchalam himana Krishna, Pramati balavadridam, Pramati balavadridam, Tasyaham nigraham manye, Tasyaham nigraham manye, Vayoriva sudushkaram, Vayoriva sudushkaram. So here, like we said, vikshepa means where the mind is going in different directions. It's almost like an ocean, right? I mean, it's not just a simple stream of, we call this mind as a flow of thoughts, and we say this is like a small river or whatever. But Arjuna is comparing this to something, like he says, is so huge. The problem is something that, he uses his big words. It's pramati. It's rebellious, like an ocean which is so full of this waves which are just crashing on the, you can imagine this very restless sea or ocean where it is rebellious, it's balavat, it's so strong. And again, he says it's extremely stubborn. Dridam. I can try. It's like this wild horse, right? You try to control it. It's just impossible. If Arjuna felt like this, even without the technology that we have, so you can imagine how we should be. Probably we'll have to create a separate Bhagavad Gita for ourselves, where we have to first start thinking about this. And I've mentioned this maybe 2 weeks ago on how we can really control our own self against our own phones and everything, which can to that extent bring down this Vikshepa thing for us. So those are just beautiful words to focus on and contemplate upon. Any other terms that you can think of that we need to add to Arjuna's vocabulary about our mind? What do you think? I mean, yes, it is extreme. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the same as Maneva Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamoksha. So, it can cause all this bondage, and then, we get into the loop of the samsara and like an ocean. So, or the same mind can lead us towards moksha.
Correct. So, but that is about leading towards moksha. But I was just thinking about where else does this mind cause us an issue? Or what else? What are the adjectives we can give to this thing called the mind, which is causing us these issues?
Developing an attitude of non-attachment.
So you're already coming up with a solution, which is very good, which is what he'll come up in the next couple of shlokas, which is the vairagya, vairagya, which is can be because of non-attachment. You're right.
So mind is compared always with the monkey that also is drunken.
That is true.
It doesn't stop. That's a nature it's described.
Yes, yes,
that's true.
Yeah. Now the reason why I wanted to bring about these. What is that? What is that?
Yeah, like here it is mentioned chanchalam. Chanchalam means it doesn't stop; it is continuously moving around. Another is mind is like it can think of one thing at one time. Like
it cannot
at a particular moment, it can think only one thing.
Yes. Yes.
So and another could be continuously mind is pressurizing everyone to do activities. Like putting a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure is like Pramati Balavat Dridam. Similarly, pressurizing, do this, do that, do this, do that kind of thing all the time.
So as a father now, Amlan, can you relate this to how you relate to your children when we keep telling our children, keep on doing this, don't stop, right? Now, just like we have to tell ourselves to slow down or quieten our mind. We need to tell our children too about sometimes, don't do anything, just sit, just relax. So this shloka is very, very important from that point, not from a meditation point of view, but more from an understanding of the problem. So you're right, I forgot about this chanchalam part of it. So chanchalam, pramati, balavat, dridam. All four pretty much captures the quality of the mind, whether it was 5,000 years ago or 1,000 years or 500 or even in the future. This is what the mind is. So that's why, the shloka it's timeless wisdom. Gita, you wanted to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
In Tamil, they say alaipayum manam, like the waves. It goes up and down and up and down. So that I suppose this turbulent means that it's like a wave going up and down.
Correct. Exactly. Correct. Geeta, you wanted to say something?
No, I was Amlan was saying it thinks of only one thing at a time, but don't we want to think only of one thing at a time? We don't want it to think too many things at the same time, isn't it?
For one fraction of a second, the mind thinks of only one thing. What I think his reference was more to the stubbornness of the mind, I think, Amlan, isn't it?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
would,
See how yeah, I think you are telling the exact same thing. Like mind is a thing, like it is chanchalam. Chanchalam means it is not stay in one place. It keep on thinking like like wave. It is going up and down one thing, and then also it has a characteristics at particular moment, any moment you take, and that time only one thinking can exist. Two thinking cannot exist in one time. Basically, it comes so fast. We think that we are thinking many things, but it is one after another. But it is also continuously going up and down. And other word, it is telling the pramathi, the rebellious, because it is not in our control. It is continuously pushing us. It is rebellious to us. So that's what I meant basically.
good.
And here that word balavadu dridam means basically it is so strong, and all the time it is pushing us. We are powerless to mind basically. That's what it shows basically in this.
So I probably should have brought that picture of that waves and this again here for showing that same example in a different way on how, like Amma also said, like the waves going up and down, and like what Amran was saying, how strong and rebellious it is. Previously, we used the ocean example to show the oneness of the water thing, but the same ocean can be used as an example here to show how our mind is like that, like all the waves, like the thoughts, they just keep one after the other. We're just not able to control it. We're not able to focus that towards one goal. Right.
And also sometimes what happened, it is so chanchal, and also sometimes what happens, somebody get hurt. Suppose somebody is somebody get a very sad news or a very, very bad news in his life, and his mind gets so stuck to it, he cannot come out of it. Mind continuously bringing that news to that person. So in this case, it is doing opposite. It is bringing that person to the same thing again and again and again. Like somebody's, some maybe close relative passed away or something, and that news sometimes devastated a lot of people, right? So that person cannot come out of it. That also another characteristics of mind. It try to stick to that bad news all the time, even though it is in another aspect. It is so chanchal. It should not be same place in same place for more time. But it also has another characteristics, basically.
Right. So you can see, this Arjuna in Amlan talking about all this, which is, in spite of the knowledge, right? So if we are talking about a lot of these examples, and we are recognizing this sort of quote unquote beast in our own selves, it is because on one hand, this knowledge of the self sounds beautiful, which is what Arjuna is saying. Hey, Krishna, you're telling me about this equanimity, all that sounds so beautiful, everything. But guess what? I still have this mind which I need to overcome. And what is this mind? It is all these 4 characteristics. How am I ever going to capture? How am I ever going to get over it? Because like I'm living in this world, and yes, there are people around me, and there are people who are going to cause me trouble. There are people who are going to be sick. There are people who are going to this. How am I going to deal with this? That is this question here. Very, very important question. So therefore, in shloka number 35, you would think that, Krishna is going to come up with an immediate solution. He's going to say, yes, so Arjuna, just do this. and you'll be okay, right? No, but Krishna doesn't do that. He actually starts with recognizing and acknowledging, and like a good psychotherapist, I guess, he says, yes, you are right, Arjuna. I totally agree with you. So he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Manoturnigraham Chalam. Asamshayam Mahabaho Manoturnigraham Chalam. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Vairagyena cha grihyate. Vairagyena cha grihyate. So he starts to first, it's such a typical, what should I say, typical way of addressing, which we do even today, right? First, we acknowledge the problem, and then we also make the person who brought the problem as saying that, hey, okay, you're so smart. How did you guess this, right? So that's how Krishna is addressing Arjuna, first telling him that you are 100% right. And he gives him this great adjective, Mahabahu. He refers to him as Mahabahu. He says, no doubt, Asamshayam, Mahabahu, Manaha Dur Nigraham Chalam. The mind is really difficult to control, and it is highly restless. That is true. But then there is a solution, and that is by two things. One is by practice. Any amount. I mean, like this, they come up with these days, the one rule that I've heard is a 21 day. Earlier it used to be 90 days. People would say, if you practice for 90 days non-stop any particular activity, you will actually become a perfect, practitioner of whatever that practice you want to do. But nowadays I hear this 21 day. I don't know why they brought it down to 21 days. Maybe it is not because you can really achieve, but maybe because we don't have really the patience to stay for 90 days, right? So abhyasa, which is practice. And then the second thing, well, like he says, is this vairagya. So two methods, and abhyasa, which of course we said this, but more important, so where did my slide go here? Vairagya. So vairagya is this aspect of really the dispassion through understanding. I think Meena brought this up earlier itself, which is if I'm able to clearly understand the temporariness of things in the world, even what Amlan was just saying about, when I receive some really difficult news, which I'm unable to bear, the mind latches onto it and it doesn't want to give it up, right? And again, this is a huge mental issue these days. We find that that is one of the big things which leads to depression and everything. But ultimately, if I'm able to recognize that even this too shall pass, kind of, if I have that aspect in my mind, and again, through understanding, recognizing that everything in this world is meant to be there only for a short time. And it is for me to recognize the temporariness and to go beyond this, then that aspect of vairagya or dispassion comes easily. So that is what Krishna is trying to say, that these two things alone, Arjuna, will cure you of the
internet pocha.
Yeah.
down. And
We lost you. We lost you for past 1 minute.
Oh, really? Sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. Only now my internet connection is saying that it's unstable. So just to repeat that, I was talking about vairagya. So vairagya is basically that aspect of being unmoved by the world. Dispassion. Dispassion means where I may get something, I may not get something, or my own attachment to the world, when I recognize that the world is fleeting, when the world is temporary, things come, things go, but my mind, I'm able to take it out of being attached to the things, and I'm focusing on something higher. That is that aspect of Vairagya. So moving on to then shloka number 36, you see that he always, Krishna, after giving a solution, he will always tell you also what are the pros and cons of this, of practicing these two. So in shloka 36, he says, asamshayatmana yogaha, asamshayatmana yogaha, dushprapya iti me matihi, dushprapa iti me matihi, asamshayatmana yogaha, dushprapa iti me matihi, vashyatmana tu yatata, vashyatmana tu yatata, shakyo vaptumupayataha, shakyo vaptumupayataha. So he then is saying about how, it's very simple. He says, if your mind is uncontrolled, then for sure it is very difficult to meditate. So this is why, meditation is really not for everyone. I think in this book, Self-Unfoldment, which we read long time ago, already, Swami Chinmayananda in that chapter of karma, you can go back and read that chapter of karma where he clearly says, I think it's in the chapter of karma, or it could be the chapter on mind itself. He says which is why there are 3 different paths for 3 different kinds of people, So for people who are very active, meditation will not come easily. So it is very hard to attain. So what do people like that do? So he says, people have to engage themselves in the world. They have to actively do things, literally physically work with your body, mind, but then when you work in that world as karma yoga, you do it in such a way that you practice karma yoga, that, whatever you do, you're doing it for the sake of doing it. You're not doing it for the sake of what I can get from it, right? So the same thing, what he's saying here is that it is very hard for people whose mind is very uncontrolled. But then for the person who can control the mind through knowledge, through really understanding, as I said earlier, by understanding this world is temporary, what am I trying to really achieve in this world? Every time when I'm going towards a particular position, or if I'm trying to maybe get a house, or anything, if it is going away and away and away from me, then I need to sit back and recognize that what am I really trying to get out of what I'm going towards? Should I just, reflect upon it? So that's where he's saying, Vashihi Atmana tu yatata. For the person who through knowledge has now controlled himself, he says it is definitely possible to achieve what, in the previous shlokas, he had talked about equanimity of the mind, right? So he says, Shakya avaptum upayataha. It is definitely possible to achieve that equanimity and that equal vision. And that can happen only for somebody who has self-control. So that is what he says here. So moving on to shloka number 37, we'll see where we're coming to actually now the next set. So this completes one set of shlokas where Arjuna has asked the question, Krishna has answered that, Krishna has given his answer. So then now we are coming to some very interesting questions that Arjuna is going to ask. He's going to ask a question. So, Krishna, are you trying to tell me that I should, I'm a very active person. he's referring to himself, right? He's a warrior and he's very active. And here Krishna is telling him all this advice for somebody like Arjuna. So Arjuna's question is, do I get into meditation or do I stay out of it? Okay, that is one. Second thing is, if I do get into meditation, so, if I waste my time, I just get into this meditation, which sounds great and all that. And suddenly, suppose, I die. Okay, I have wasted my life on this, whereas I could have just enjoyed, like they say, you have only one life. So why don't you just enjoy and be happy? Just, do it. Should I not do that? So very important questions now, Arjuna is going to ask. So Geeta, you wanted to say something?
I was just about to ask the first one, which he said, does that mean that if we are active, we cannot get into meditation or what? That was my question, but Arjuna has asked that question anyway.
No, literally, that's the beauty of this Bhagavad Gita, is literally every question that people would have asked 2000 years ago, people are asking today, or people will ask 2000 years from now. It doesn't matter what great discoveries we are doing. It doesn't matter how much of time and effort we are spending on improvement of technology or in this material pursuit and everything, right? Ultimately, the problems are still going to be the same. It doesn't matter whether you live in United States or India or Brazil or Timbuktu, doesn't matter. The problems are the same. The solution is the same. Everything has been already totally been analyzed.
Universal book.
Totally. So that's why the next thing is going to be very, very interesting, which we're going to talk about in shloka number 37, which is, he says,
it's time.
Yeah, it is time. Yeah. So we'll stop here and we'll meet next week. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om purnamada purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you. Recording
Thank you
has
very
been
much.
stopped. Recording.
Yes,
Thank you, Sunitha.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Hari
you.
Om. Thank you,
Sorry,
Sunitha.
I came late. Sorry.
No, Pari.
I had another
You came-
meeting. Huh?
You came for an important section. So that is.
Yeah. I caught hold of the right one. It was very nice. Half hour I was there. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Hari Om, Sunitha. Thank you.
Can I,
Hari Om,
can I say
Madhu.
for
Hari Om,
30 seconds?
Sharda. Yes, please. Please
Yeah,
do.
I think I wanted to address the question Geeta ji has asked, that she was asking that why not, is not the goal to think only one thing, right? So what I was explaining was the characteristics of the mind. Like it can be chanchal or it can stay in one place for a longer time based on the situation. But all of this happens by the mind, by itself. We don't have any control. And now what you're saying, that is correct. Our goal is to think one thing. In that case, we want to bring our control. Like we want to straighten the mind. You stay here. You don't go here and there. So for that reason, we try to think one thing, or we quieten the mind and then we try to think one thing. That is the part of the meditation. So what you were saying was the part of the meditation. But what I was saying, the mind's characteristics, basically. I wanted to just clarify that point.
Okay, got it.
Good to see you all. I feel I'm in Michigan.
Oh, Michigan is very bad weather today.
I know, so bad today and tomorrow. Oh my goodness. So cold.
Yeah.
Stay home. All of you should stay put at home.
Yes. Everybody stay home and.
Do you travel, Lamlan, for work?
No, I'm working from home. I started working from home 2020 March, I think. March 18 or 20 March. I did not go to office after that.
We could see that in your structure now. You have become. It shows that you stay at home. You are staying at home.
Yeah. My wife has to go to office, unfortunately.
And the weather also makes you, no exercise and stuff like that.
Yeah. I go to Lifetime here, and they Lifetime also, they I think closed today because of the bad weather.
Bad weather. Okay. Okay.
I know Geeta works from home. I don't know about Beena, you have to go to work?
No, I have always worked from home.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So my most travel happens only for Balvihar related stuff and mission related stuff. So a lot of times when people say, oh, you go in bad weather to any place and stuff, I don't say anything because it becomes controversial then, right? But I typically don't go to work.
Go to see your grandkid.
Huh?
How about to go and meet your grandkid?
Yeah.
Usually drop him over. So I basically don't drive much.
Okay.
This past weekend was Shivratri, right? So I was reminded of our Anaba days. Here also in Sif, we actually stayed throughout the night and we chanted 5 times. We did only 5 times Rudram Chamkam, the whole thing.
Wow, that was nice.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
must be nice.
That's nice.
In Ann Arbor, they did 11 times, but they finished by midnight.
Correct.
In Bharatiya temple also, they did 11 times. From
Really? Okay.
so many temples to go to, we went to 5 temples. One in each temple. One Rudram in each temple.
But really, thanks to our that Vedic chanting classes which we had in the morning, I was able to chant here because of the continuous practice. Otherwise, I had actually almost stopped chanting Rudram. I had chanted only a few times after we came back to India. So then it was good to chant. Now I want to go back to chanting on a regular basis. So
how come you are dressed up today?
This is still a white dress, white with
But
this.
grand.
Yeah, it looks grand. It looks grand. Yeah, I have to interview 5. I'm on an interview spree now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, with this dean job, it is so much to do. I mean, on one hand, you have to interview we are going to get into computer science, by the way. CVB is going to open a whole new computer school. And we are hiring professors and everyone. Okay. So today I'm interviewing
you are the dean now? You're the dean now?
Yes, I'm the dean now, Dean of Academics.
So
I have the whole academic program.
Oh, for the whole university, only one academic dean.
Only one academic dean.
And
yes.
Then there is a dean for something else, like.
No. So there is only one dean, one registrar, and we both report to the VC, Vice Chancellor.
Wow. So, Sunitha, wonderful. That's
so I'm responsible for the whole academic program, the students, the faculty, recruiting new faculty, letting people go faculty. I mean, not letting
a lot of responsibilities, huh? Wow.
It's too much. It is actually too much.
So your Swamiji work is kept aside then.
Well, that's why this Bhagavad Gita class is so very important even for me, because this keeps me grounded. But then being at SIF is such a fantastic, I mean, you cannot ask for a much better ashram than this, because of Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya's presence, here, we have few Swamis, so I interact with the Swamis, I get a chance to, and then still a lot of spiritual things happen here. So in that sense, I'm totally connected.
Very wholesome.
And I'm still doing my own sadhana, so yeah.
What is Ashok
when you recruit the teacher, you only look for example, computer science background. You only look for computer science education background, or also you look for he has any background with spirituality, or he was any attached with anything like Chinmaya mission or similar kind of thing? Do you
Good
see all
question.
those things? Or
Very excellent,
Good question.
excellent question. Excellent question. But first, let me answer Shada's question. So Ashok is in Chennai. He's doing his Vedanta classes online and part of Chinmaya Mission Chennai. And yeah, he is in his own space. I'm in my space. We are in two different kinds of spaces, He's more within himself, focusing a lot more on, studying Mandukya Upanishad and going deep into that. I'm also studying Mandukya with him, but
Is he taking Mandukya classes?
no, not yet. Not yet. He is thinking of doing that. Yeah. But coming to Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth, our actually mission is that the students who are here, we want to give them an education in value system, so the Chinmaya values.
Bhagavad
Chinmaya
Gita.
values. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita is part of, it's a mandatory course, not Bhagavad Gita, but the spirituality in Bhagavad Gita, which is, we do self-unfoldment. Actually, I introduced self-unfoldment as a mandatory course, and Pride of India, that is the thing. But as we recruit, you're right, Amlan, when we recruit faculty, what we do is, it is not a must, that is for sure. But if we have two candidates who are equal in technical qualification, what is it that is one person better this one? If the person has a certain amount of spiritual value, it doesn't have to be Chinmaya mission or anything like that. The person can be a Christian, that person can be anybody, it doesn't matter. But they, so I do ask them a question. Actually, I do ask a few questions like, what do you know about Indian knowledge systems? And almost 95, it's very sad to say, 95% of the people will say, oh, what is that? Really, they ask you, what is that? Then I tell them, have you heard of yoga? Then I ask them, have you heard of yoga? Oh, yeah, of course I know yoga.
exercise.
Have you heard of Ayurveda? Yes, I know Ayurveda. But they don't know it is Indian knowledge system.
Yes.
That is the really, really sad part. And then second thing, of course, I do ask them, what do you know about Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth? The first thing immediately people will say, oh yeah, the mission statement is maximum happiness for maximum number of people for maximum number of time. Then I ask them, what does that mean? What is happiness?
Well, what did they reply generally?
So I'm telling you, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita helps you to be so grounded. And even like I said, with this job that I have right now, which is I'm in a totally different space. I'm a professor now, I'm a dean. All this just came to me without me. People have worked so hard to become deans and professors in so many other places. And here I am, I was in corporate job for 28 years.
Don't underestimate you, Sunitha.
No, I'm just saying about ultimately how things happen. But this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita totally keeps you grounded. It gives you a focus that, problems that you see everywhere, you will see here also. But you take it in a stride that this is part of the whole, That's the beauty. So this part, the shloka which we talked about, 32, sukham va yadi va dukham, in pleasure or pain, you would never you want everyone to be happy truly, So when I interact with the students and everything, you see sometimes the pain they go through, and I'm staying in the same hostel as the students. So I see them till 10:30 in the night. I see them until they go to sleep. I know who's not sleeping, who's not, who's going with somebody. All this, you see everything. It's totally transparent,
Psychology, you should know a little bit of psychology too. I think Bhagavad Gita itself is psychology.
Bhagavad Gita has everything. It has management, it has psychology, it has logic. Everything is there.
And do you have Ayurveda also there?
We will be starting very soon. We will start everything. You all have to come and spend a week and just be in this ashram. You can meditate for 8 hours. You can just have a walk.
I really want to come and visit. I really want to come and see the house.
You should arrange for all of us to go.
Let's go.
I know, that would be great. Yes,
let's all go.
Yes. Yes, Geeta, you can arrange for a spiritual. I'll give you the itinerary for your spiritual tour. I'll be your the places in
Guide.
India.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
really, you
No,
can.
we want to come to your place and stay for a week and see the way you're explaining. I feel like being there. It's really nice.
It has. I mean, I have to be honest. When you come here, you can also enjoy other aspects of. I mean, Beena knows very well about the Kerala massage. I haven't gone to one yet. I have to say this, but there's so many places around where you can have real Kerala Ayurvedic massage.
That is an additional plus to come, incentive to come.
Yes, no, really. I mean,
Really, I really want to. The more I hear from you, I really want to visit.
Yes, and then there is all the boat. What is that? In Alappuzha, Alappuzha, you have the boat. Houseboat. Yeah, houseboats.
Backwater houseboat.
Yeah, backwater house.
yeah.
It's not too far,
Backwater
just 2 hours from here. And the temples are amazing. The temples in Kerala are very different than from the temples in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. They're a lot more simpler, a lot more ancient, simple. Ayyappa temple or Guruvayur or Chotanikara. Chotanikara is only half an hour away from here. Then we have, just half an hour. And then you have the Parur Shivan temple, Tripunithara, Purnatraisha, and Ernakulam Tappan. All these.
All are very simple architecture, right?
Yeah.
Old temples, though. Yeah.
Old temples. Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice to hear.
So you should all come. Like I said, just take 1 week. Give yourself 1 week for yourself. And
count us in. We'll be coming very soon.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Amlan is laughing. What's happening?
So
Amlan is always happy.
It is so exciting to hear all these things. I did not know much about Kerala. When I was in Bangalore for like 10 years, I never went there, that side actually. So I also feeling like excited to go there after hearing all this.
Maybe next week I'll show just 3 or 4 pictures of, it's on my phone. I have to transfer it, but maybe I'll do that next week. I'll show 3 or 4 pictures.
How is the food difference? Because in Chennai food, I know. How is the food in Kerala?
The food is, I mean, I want to say it is a little more carbohydrate rich. No, coconut
rich.
Coconut is there. I mean, of course, 3 days a week you can have avial and more kombu, which I love. It is just fantastic. But then it's very carbohydrate rich, like the puttu and the idiyappam and the appam and
rice based.
Yeah. Which is
puttu is also rice based, or it's
total
rice and coconut.
Yeah.
And in the hostel, the food is Kerala style.
Yes.
It is
no, it's a good point. We have actually 2 Annakshetras. One Annakshetra is associated with the ashram and the other one with the university. Both of them within an 8-acre campus. So morning for breakfast and lunch, I eat with the students. Then evening, I go to the ashram and have with the ashramites, So in the ashram, there is no garlic, no onions, and the spices are very minimal. So quite sattvic. Whereas here you have, they put onion, but they make separately. So they make separately for me, and there are 5 other kids who don't have onion, garlic. So for us, separately they make. But here they have parathas and paneer and all that for whatever the students like, for breakfast.
Maybe you should arrange for a 1 week course, something in Vedanta or something like that. If you advertise, a lot of people can, but you should arrange for stay and all that.
Yes. This place is like that. This place, everything is arranged. Like literally from January to March, already 10 camps have happened where totally people come from outside. What they do is different groups. So there's a Kriya Yoga group. The Kriya Yoga master comes with his own students from all over the world. He brings his own people, his master. They basically just rent the space. And this place is everything. There's a beautiful auditorium. There is a meditation place.
And then
place
for
to
food,
stay,
canteen.
everything is provided. Everything
Sounds
is
really
provided.
interesting. You should think of something for 1 week retreat. I don't know what you call
Correct.
it, or
Correct.
something like that.
And
And
timing could
open
be
it to
December.
America.
Yes, we
American.
can do that. That's a great idea. We can do that. You know,
And timing could be
summertime.
December. December would be good timing, I think. Summer will be
Yes.
very, very difficult for people, I think.
No, December
Definitely.
will be very expensive to buy an airline ticket.
Correct.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
What is a good time in?
Maybe November, maybe combined with Thanksgiving, something like that.
Okay.
A week
Okay.
or something in November.
Yeah.
That may work.
It may still be end of the year for many people in terms of taking off time, isn't it, Amlan? Or
Yeah. I think November end, Thanksgiving time is a good time also.
yeah, that's a very good time.
Because
But,
Kerala,
I
when I
was
think
visiting
of
Kerala
going in
before.
the summer will be
Yeah.
tough for people who
Yeah.
lives in Michigan, especially.
Anant, you were saying something?
Yeah. About 3 years back, I was visiting Kerala with a family. So we took about 3-4 days, and then houseboat and LFP, all the places. They're pretty nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Munnar is also close by, I think.
Munnar.
Right.
Munnar is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Oh, we will
So this-
seriously think, Sunitha, we should do it.
And Ernakulam, I don't know, I feel that Kochi airport is the best airport in the whole world, you know? It is, when you land, I mean, I know you would say, why would you compliment an airport of all the places, right? But you land into this airport, which looks like a house with the Kerala architecture and all that. It's only one level. It's only one level. I mean, and Ernakulam is one of the most, it's an international airport. The other side of it also, I have to say, is that Ernakulam is probably within India, the top 10 place where a lot of drugs come in, you know, unfortunately. That is very difficult. We have our campus in Ernakulam city, and it's something we are very, very careful about. And
how much time is it from drive distance from Kochi airport to your place, Sunitha?
That is 1 hour, it's 30 kilometers. So 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Oh, we used to go to
Minimum.
Kottakkal for Kumar. We used to go to Kottakkal, and on the way itself, Guruvairappa used to be there.
Yeah.
So for you also, Guruvairappa are you close to Guruvairappa?
No, 2 hours away. It's
2
like
hours
a triangle.
Triangle. Okay.
From the airport to come this side.
Okay.
Sunitha, are you driving? Are you driving?
No, I'm not driving. I mean, I have my permanent license, but I haven't started driving. It's here, you know, the driving
You
is
have
not an issue.
drivers. You have drivers to take the car, right?
I don't get out of the ashram. That is the first. So once I come here, I don't go anywhere, you know.
Yeah, she's so busy that she won't have time to go, I guess.
That is
I know,
true,
she's
I
so
think.
busy.
But I really enjoy being busy though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't feel I need to go out at all now anymore, you know. So even with temples, only when somebody comes here, like my brother is going to come this weekend, I'll take him to all the temples. But I myself, if I have to do something, I just prefer to stay in the ashram. That's it, you know.
What is your pastime?
Actually, I don't. I am till 12 o'clock
There
at
is
night.
no time to pass.
No time to
Reading books,
Hobby.
and planning.
Hobby
In the university, the student, they are mostly from Kerala side, or they are from
all over India.
So inside the campus, they speak English or they speak Malayali mostly?
English. No, English. And actually, we have BA Sanskrit, you know. So BA Sanskrit students speak only in Sanskrit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then we have North Indians also. And but most of them, I would say 70% are Keralites.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No.
Yeah. And we're trying to promote it to Chinmaya Mission. We have 100 Chinmaya Vidyalayas all over India. But then people who go to Chinmaya Vidyalayas, they're like, you know, I went to a Chinmaya school. Do I need to go to a Chinmaya university? I need a change, you know, just like our kids there, you know, I studied in Michigan. Now I want to go away from Michigan, out of state. Correct. So the same concept is there with Chinmaya schools too. But it is definitely more and more we're introducing Chinmaya spirituality. I mean, when I shouldn't say Chinmaya spirituality, but we're introducing Bhagavad Gita, we're introducing concepts. Still, students are students. Here also we face issues, but mostly the issues what I'm facing right now is mostly of mental health issues, that kind of thing.
In spite of being in Chinmaya school.
Yeah. Students, I'm telling you, they're so influenced by
Movies.
what comes on their text, what comes on their phone, all the WhatsApp, the way it's very, very sad to see some of them in very close quarters. I got to see, and which I have to say I was very shocked, but I have to accept it that this is the reality. Very, very.
Did you hear about shooting in MSU?
Yeah, I did. It's very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. It's not coming down, and yeah.
Things are not at all. I mean, it's becoming worse and worse with all this technology and all this communication stuff. Students are really papa.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them.
And family values in the sense for, like what you're all doing, Geeta, you and Beena and everyone, where you're able to spend some time with your grandchildren. I really feel if grandmothers are there for grandchildren, you don't need any therapists. Through experience, you can really teach our youngsters what the connection is,
That's why those days they gave importance to joint families, They learned
100%.
Give and take and all that, hardships and everything they learned.
Yeah.
As you said, their own experience, with the experience they learned.
Correct.
How to respect adults and all that they know in the joint family.
Exactly. That you said it well, Anand, that respect for the older thing is actually a value that now these days our children don't know what it is. They don't know. You feel sad that is a value that is getting lost.
Yeah.
Those
Even
things
their attitude towards the parents are so different now.
Yeah.
The growing world now, it's so different.
Yeah.
What to do? Anyway, I am very much thinking about a course in your university.
Yes,
Let's plan.
We will do that. We'll definitely plan it. Definitely.
Maybe 4 days. 1 week may be too long. Maybe 4 days or 3 days.
Yeah, 4 days. In that, you can, like I said, we can fit in this other things also, which we have. I mean, sometimes it's necessary, like in the sense, go for a houseboat trip or.
Oh yeah. That's why from 1 week I reduced to 4 days and 3 days of sightseeing,
Right.
4 days of structure, and then come back. It
I
sounds
was
good.
thinking that too.
Yeah.
It's fun too.
No, seriously, if you just plan the trip here, I can make it happen for you. Because we have the whole infrastructure. Nothing you have to do. All you have to do is just land here, just enjoy. Everything will be taken care of. Even this houseboat thing, like we have one travel agent, because these things are so common here. There's a travel agent here who organizes trips to Guruvayur or the Alape, or they have the whole thing figured it out.
Sounds very interesting.
It is run by people who went to the, Chinmaya Mission conducts this thing called YEP, Youth Empowerment Program. So Youth Empowerment Program here also is very popular. So they go every year to this YEP program, and the people who graduate from that, they somehow find their passion now to serve Chinmaya Mission in different ways. I mean, they're all fully working. They all get paid and everything, but their attitude is different. They are not there to make money, or to swindle you or anything. They charge you for what it is. That's it,
So we can make a base in Chinmaya University, and then from there we can roam around, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So another question I wanted to ask you, like the youngsters, all the students, when you see them, and those students, now the technology is everywhere now. So those students, their behavior, attitude, compared to our US similar age kids, you have seen those also, right? So
Yeah.
different there. Are they very similar or they are very different?
Amlan, I have to tell you one thing. What truly touched me and surprised me, and 2 weeks ago, I had organized a major youth conference, okay? From all over India, we invited people to submit research papers on Indian knowledge systems. I think I shared that brochure in that Bhagavad Gita group, you will see the talks that was given. We received 220 abstracts, out of which I chose 120 papers and all that. What surprised me is all the students who came to submit the papers, right? They were a class by themselves. So sattvic, so much into the pride of India, so much about growing the India's knowledge in different areas, science, technology, commerce, economics, everything, So there was some beauty. And when they actually came to this ashram, this ashram is like really green, lots of greenery, lots of palm trees, not palm, banana trees, all that. And Bhagwan Adi Shankara's presence. These kids, they would get together and they would have so much of debates only about this India knowledge and all that. So there is something different about the students studying in this campus. And I have seen that myself. We have a campus in Ernakulam, okay? There is a big difference in the attitude of the students here versus in Ernakulam. That atmosphere and the ambience, we are giving them both the same education. There also but they're studying different subjects. There it's commerce and psychology students. Here we have Sanskrit education and BA, BEd, that kind of programs. There's a difference in the programs. Maybe the students who come to these programs are different. I don't know. We give them the same education, but the attitude is very different.
Why is that?
Sunitha's presence.
No. It's ambience. The whole ambience.
I think, Sunitha, I think what is happening is, on one side, there are people who are going because of the technology and of the wrong side, and on the same count, on the other side, the awareness for this Shastriya Jnanam and all this also is very on the rise, I think.
Yeah, that could be a reason, yeah.
Yeah, so when we had the Shivaratri Puja, right, when we had throughout the night, I was really pleasantly surprised that there were at least 25 of the kids from the university. We don't force it upon them. Shivaratri is just advertised. It's up to the students whether they want to go and observe Shivaratri, right? So 25 students actually, out of which 10 of them stayed throughout the night, and 15 came at 5 a.m. in the morning to get the prasad and all that. They on their own came. I didn't have to tell anybody. They came on their own and they participated in it. And even just one presence of this one kid among the others can change things,
Same way, one bad kid among the 10 people also can change the 10 people bad.
Can change, but the good kid, being one good kid among 10, may take a little longer for that to penetrate compared to a bad kid in this. That is true. But still the change can happen. So, the transformation will slowly happen.
Very nice to hear this, Sunitha.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Very nice.
I did not know all this thing.
Yeah, no, it is really nice. I feel blessed to be here in this thing. And the best part is they all don't think I'm from America at all. Nobody thinks, because I wear sari all the time, and so people think, except for my accent, sometimes, when I speak.
When you're scared of you?
No, I am actually, in fact, I should be more scary for this position that I have. In the Indian parlance, people expect a dean to be somebody, not approachable, unapproachable. So they're very surprised that they can walk with me and joke with me and all that. I don't know, my background comes from being a Balavihar teacher, right? Where being a Balavihar teacher, you can't afford to be strict or whatever. You have to be friendly. So I have to actually consciously practice now, becoming a little more sort of stricter and, those things. It's really, I need to work on it. It is needed for the university. That is
you
needed
have to
for
wear a
India. No, it
jacket.
is needed for India, you know.
You have to wear a jacket.
No.
Blazer.
Blazer.
But I think the other side of being friendly is that they open up to you without any hesitation. So
Yeah, they
you're
do.
able to gather that first-hand intel and apply it towards how you can use that, right? I mean, from
True.
yeah.
True. Yeah. So many of my faculty, you know, sometimes I'm very conscious about that, which is the students come and tell me things about the faculty also, you know, they share that. And so my faculty are a little thing about, and even the hostel wardens, and they're like, you know, ma'am, you shouldn't be talking to them, you know, or those kind of things. So I make sure that the faculty are brought with me. So I go and tell the faculty, you know what, the student came and told me this about this. I want you to know that the student came and shared with me. So I tell them directly what the message is. I don't come and tell them, oh, you know what, you guys didn't do this well or whatever. I just come straight to them and tell them this is what happened.
Yeah.
Then they also know that, yes, the students are coming and telling me. They have to be, you know.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of good, I think, from being able to be approachable, just as simple as that. Although I'm sure you will have to shift a little bit to suit the whole atmosphere too, right? I mean,
yes, I have to.
Position that holds a lot of weightage, but at the same time to have that personality where the kids are able to approach, I think it's
no,
You have to be both.
They see very much.
You have to be both.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I would say to some extent, I see that happening too, where the students are taking advantage of me because I'm approachable. They do come and do that. I see that also happening. And that is where I have to learn to be a little more non-approachable or to be strict, you know, or when to, so, yeah.
Very good.
Very nice.
Okay.
Hearing all
Nice
this.
talking to all of you. It's good then.
Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy your night. See you everyone in the next week. Hari Om.
Very nice
Hari
to
Om.
see
Thank
you.
you.
Hear from you. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.